I think we're ready. Yes, sorry. All right, thank you. You can be seated. All right, your next question.
Tom, may I please have you put up Plaintiff's Exhibit 881A? Ms. Hurd, I'm going to ask you to take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 881A. This is one of the articles containing the counterclaim statements by Adam Waldman. Is that correct?
I haven't seen the article yet.
Okay. Why don't we go to page 8 of this article? Adam Waldman, Depp's lawyer, said afterwards, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as a sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Is that one of the statements that you allege are defamatory? It's defamatory?
That's correct.
Okay. Can we please go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 881B? And if we could go to page 10 and 11. In Plaintiff's Exhibit 881B, Depp's lawyer Adam Waldman said the various discrepancies prove that nothing Heard and her friends said about the events of May 21, 2016 could be considered credible. Quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt didn't do the trick, he told thedailymail.com. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911. But even this didn't have... Oh, apologize. You're fine. Okay. And if we can please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 881C. And go to page 11. This is another article, Ms. Heard, where you argue that Mr. Waldman's statements are defamatory, correct?
I don't know if this is taken from that article because I can't see the article in full.
It's page 11 of the article. And the statement reads, we have reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Mr. Depp. Is that correct? Is that one of the what you claim is one of the defamatory statements said by Mr. Waldman?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Heard, you're not aware of any career opportunities that you lost as a result of Mr. Waldman's statements, are you?
Well, it's kind of hard to point to the jobs you're not offered,
Right.
to the gigs you don't get.
You were not replaced in Aquaman 2, were you?
They released me from my contract, and I fought to stay in it, and they kept me in it. I just don't know how much I'm in, actually, of the final cut.
And you testified yesterday that L'Oreal actually extended your contract in April of 2020. Is that correct?
In part, they extended it and held me.
And you testified yesterday that L'Oreal extended your contract again in November of 2021, correct?
Not exactly. They extended it because they couldn't use me or any of the materials for me.
And that extension was for 20 months, right?
That's correct.
Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday how Mr. Waldman's statements, quote, torture you every day. Do you recall that testimony?
I do.
And then, and that you look at them every day.
I look at the online attacks, the media. You can't avoid it, to be honest, that those statements are often attached to. I don't look at his statements every day.
And you testified that you just want to move on with your life, right?
I do very much want to move on with my life.
But you've gone out of your way to engage with Mr. Waldman on social media, haven't you?
I have made a comment, I believe, once. I would not characterize that as engaging with him.
Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1266. It's right there.
Your microphone. Yeah. Your microphone. Just...
I don't have this yet, so I'm asking for it to
right
be
there.
given to me before.
It's a photograph.
I think it's just a...
This is your tweet, right, Ms. Heard?
That is correct.
I'm going to move to admit and publish this tweet.
I don't check the relevance.
Ejection, I'm sorry, what's the objection?
I'm sorry, relevance?
All right, I'll overrule the objection. 881C in evidence. Is that right?
Can we please have it published to the jury?
Yes. I'm sorry, 1266. I apologize.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is from March 26, 2021, right?
That's what it looks like, yes.
And this is after he made the statements you claim are defamatory, right, Ms. Heard?
21, yes.
Ms. Heard, you tweeted at Adam Waldman, quote, "Yes, Mr. Waldman, I may be wearing makeup on this occasion, but on every occasion you will still be short." Did I read that right?
Yes.
We can put this down. Thank you. Ms. Heard, since your relationship with Mr. Depp ended, you have completed your level 3 sommelier training, haven't you?
I haven't completed it yet.
You're on level 2?
No, I'm on level 3.
You also have had a baby, right?
I have.
And you enjoy being a mother?
More than anything.
You still love to cook?
I do.
And you love to hike?
I've taken a break on hiking for a minute.
You have friends, right?
I do have friends.
And you spend time with those friends?
Occasionally, when I can.
And you exercise regularly?
Every day.
You just filmed a movie in March of 2022, isn't that right?
Yes, the one I just shot in Guatemala that I spoke of earlier.
And you have you had a major role in a major film that's scheduled to be released soon. Is that correct? Aquaman 2?
As I said, I don't know if I will even be in the final cut or how much I will be. It was difficult to stay in the movie.
You struck Mr. Depp multiple times during your relationship, didn't you, Ms. Heard?
There were many times I had to use my body to defend myself, and that included swinging wherever I could. If it meant I could get away, absolutely. If it meant a difference between a sore face and a broken nose, you bet I would.
So it's your testimony under oath that you never struck Mr. Depp as the initial aggressor?
Well, he was holding me against the wall by my neck. You know, I might be the first person to have been the first one to slap, which happened in Australia, you know, when he was choking me. But I wouldn't say I was the initial aggressor in that situation.
You got physical with Mr. Depp often during your relationship, didn't you?
I had to defend myself as best I could. Didn't seem to make much of a difference.
You just couldn't control yourself, could you, Ms. Heard?
I tried to defend myself when I could, but it was after years of not defending myself.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 356? And, Your Honor, portions of the exhibit were entered into evidence yesterday, but we moved to admit the entire recording.
Right.
And I can confirm that there's no other voices besides Ms. Heard's and Mr. Depp's. And I intend to play from 129:27 to 130:07.
So I have 356A in evidence. Is any objection to the entire 356 coming into evidence?
If I may.
Okay,
Hold on just for
sure.
a moment, Your Honor. I have to check on something. Which one? Which one is the one that has? The excerpt for now, and we'll double check our notes on that, because there was one that had something in that couldn't go, and I just can't find my notes on that.
We'll just call it 356B for now.
That's fine. Thank you, Your Honor.
Could you just give me the times again?
Yes, of course. 129:27 to 130:07.
All right, and I'm told that we already have a B, so you have to do 356C.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I can't promise you that I'll be perfect. I can't promise you I won't get physical again. God, I fucking sometimes get so mad I lose it. I can fucking promise you I'm gonna do everything to change. Promise you. I'm not gonna throw around divorce. I will not say divorce unless it's it. And then I hope you leave me. I'm not going to. And me too. I will leave you. It's fair. I can't do it. You know, and I think, honestly, if we hold each other accountable to that, it's fair.
Ms. Heard, that's you and Mr. Depp on that recording, correct?
That's correct.
And you told Mr. Depp, quote, "I can't promise you that I won't get physical," end quote. Correct?
That's correct. He was accusing me of instigating something in a situation I explained yesterday.
And you also told Mr. Depp that sometimes you get so mad you lose it, correct?
That's correct. I also explained the context of that fight yesterday.
Isn't that exactly what you told Ben King on your way back from Australia? That you get so mad you lose it?
Absolutely not. I know that that's what Ben King testified to, but I never had that conversation with Ben King.
If we could please
In the
play...
meantime, I'm sorry. I checked, and I have no objection to the entirety of 356 coming
So
in.
356 in its entirety will be in evidence. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we could please play from what's now been admitted, Plaintiff's Exhibit 356 in its entirety from 7:05 to 7:43.
I'm not gonna be in a physical fucking altercation with you.
Then don't.
You fucking hit me last night. You fucking...
What about all the other times you split? Come on, you cannot act like that's about that. It's
Well,
not.
when on a plane, I can't split.
No, and you hit back. So don't act like you don't fucking participate.
I pushed you.
I'm not going to get into the details of that fight. You and I both know that you split when there is no physical violence involved. And that you do it like at the very beginning of fights these days. And if you split and you go into a different room and you don't actually leave that house, it does nothing but perpetuate the fight. And you don't actually do it respectfully. You don't.
Ms. Hurd, is that you and Mr. Depp on this recording?
Yes, it is.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 343? And I believe that one's been admitted already into evidence.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And just for the record, we're playing from 24601 to 24720.
I said to Travis, I said to you, hey, tell Travis what just happened.
You told me to do it. You told me to. You said, go do that.
I said, no, tell him what just happened.
And I lied.
That you punched me in the
You're right.
fucking thing. And
You figured it out.
And you said, no, fucking, I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? And I watched you lie. And then
I didn't punch you, by the way. I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
You know, even a lot of fights have been around a long time. I know. Yeah.
No, when you fucking have a close.
You didn't get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you. I don't know what the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are you?
What am I supposed to do? Do this? I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are. That's the difference between me and you. You're a fucking baby.
Because you started.
You are such a baby. Grow the fuck up,
Because you
Johnny.
started physical fights.
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did. So I had to get the fuck out of there.
Yes, you did. So you did the right thing, the big thing. You know what? You are admirable.
That's you and Mr. Depp on that recording, right, Ms. Hurd?
That's correct.
And you said you hit Mr. Depp, right?
Yeah, I had to hit his body to get
Ms.
him out
Hurd,
of the door.
my question was, you said on that recording that you hit Mr. Depp, right?
Yes, I did.
And you accused him of being a baby for not wanting to be in a physical fight with you, right?
Incorrect. I accused him of being a baby for complaining about me hitting him when he was trying to get through the door. I was trying to barricade.
Right. Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 368? And again, Your Honor, this is a recording of just Mr. Depp and Ms. Hurd. I'm going to move for the entire exhibit to be moved into evidence.
All right. Any objection to 368?
I don't think so. No, Your Honor.
All right. No objection. 368 in evidence in its entirety.
It's a shitty law. Anyway, I opened the bathroom door when you were knocking on it. After a few times I opened. And, you know, you just kept going. You just kept going. I tried to close the door 3 times. You know, please, just don't, you know, and then, wait, and then I accidentally, I swear, when I was trying to close the door, I guess it scraped your toes. I didn't mean to do that. And I bent down, and you either pushed or you kicked. I think you kicked the door open. I mean, the door, more open, so that it would hit me. And it hit me.
I didn't mean to. I didn't know that.
It hit me in the fucking head.
But I did not mean to do that. I don't know what
I was bent down behind the door.
I did not do anything to her. I did not kick a door or push a door so that it would hit you. I did not. I swear that that was not my intention. I think I remember when the door scraped my toes, I reacted, but this whole the door thing, I remember I never did that. That wasn't on purpose. I might have done it on accident.
Okay.
But
so let's say that was an accident. I then stood up. I don't even know if I said. I mean, I might have said like, "What the fuck," you know, whatever, because I just been hit in the head with the fucking corner of the door.
I'm so sorry. I did not. I'm sorry.
And then I stood up. And then you fucking clocked me.
I remember hitting you as a response to the door thing. sorry about hitting you with the door or hitting your head. I did not mean to, nor...
You didn't mean to hit me in the head with the door, but you meant to punch me in the jaw.
I meant to hit you, and I did not do this thing with the door. I do remember, I did mean to hit you.
So that you didn't mean?
The door? No, God, no, I didn't.
But punching me in the jaw.
I didn't. Okay, I'm sorry I hit you. I did mean to hit you, but it was in response. I just reacted in response to my foot. I just reacted, and I'm sorry. It's below me.
Your foot? That was why you punched me?
Yeah. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I...
Again, that's you and Mr. Depp on that recording, right?
That's correct.
And Mr. Depp was hiding from you in the bathroom. Isn't that right, Ms. Heard?
Incorrect.
Well, Mr. Depp said on that recording, I opened the bathroom door when you were knocking on it. Doesn't he?
I don't know if he said that, and I didn't hear that.
And Mr. Depp said, when I was trying to close the door, I guess it scraped your toes. He says that, doesn't he?
Correct.
And then you kicked the bathroom door into his head, didn't you?
No, I didn't. And
then you punched him in the
defended
jaw.
myself in that audio. You can hear it for yourself.
Right. And then you punched him in the jaw.
I also did not do that. I tried to make that clear on the audio tape too,
So-
in futility.
So Mr. Depp said, you meant to punch me in the jaw, right?
Are you asking me what he said on the
Yeah.
on the recording? Yes, he said that.
And then you respond, I meant to hit you, didn't you?
As I explained yesterday, I was trying to get him off the door,
And you said, I remember, I did mean to hit you.
meaning the door. The door was on my feet. I
You've heard
reacted
this-
instinctively to that.
Yeah, you've heard this audio before, haven't you, Miss Heard?
Yeah, we've already had this trial before.
Yeah, it was played for you when you were deposed in 2016 in connection with your divorce from Mr. Depp, wasn't it?
That's one of the times I've heard it, yes.
Okay. So you've had plenty of time to think about how to respond to this recording, haven't you?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, let's take a look at how you responded to it the first time. Can we please pull up what will be marked Plaintiff's Exhibit 1261?
The next thing that I'm going to play to
Your Honor?
you
Okay.
as Hugh.
All right. Oh, you want to come? Which?
I'm going to read it into the record and I'll hand this to you. So, I will. So, Your Honor, for reference, and I will provide a copy of the deposition, Ms. Heard's deposition in the divorce. It's page 372, lines starting at line 5 through 377, line 12.
All right. I think.
Okay.
Yes. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, with permission, may we please play?
If we just get to that page, make sure everybody's at the. Oh, could you say the page number again,
Yes,
please?
absolutely.
Page 372, lines 5 to 377, line 1 is what I have.
12. Line 12.
All right, 372.
If we could have a moment, Your Honor, to read it before it's played.
Okay.
I still don't think it's an impeachment, Your Honor, after reading it.
I'll overrule objection. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we can please have it published to the jury in the gallery.
All right.
The next thing that I'm going to play to you as Hugh. Would you listen to this, please?
This is punching.
Let's keep on.
Your Honor, maybe we can stop that. Then they can do they can do it through reading the deposition, Your Honor. They don't need to do that. I asked them to take it off the screen.
Did you take it off the screen? Okay. That's fine.
Thank you.
I have no objection.
Can we
to that.
please start it over?
The next thing that I'm going to play to you as Hugh. Would you listen to this, please?
This is punching. It's one of them, right? This is punching.
Let's keep on.
Where's the desk?
swear. When I was trying to close the door, I just stretched your toes. I didn't do that. I bent down. And you let me push me, kick the door open. I mean, stay with the door. Get more open. So that you can
But I did not mean to do that.
I was bent down behind the door.
I did not do anything to him. I did not kick at the door or push the door so that it would hit you. I did not. I swear. I mean, that did not. It was not my intention. I think I remember when it was scrape my toes.
Okay. So you told him in that excerpt that you hit him with the door but did not intend to hit him, correct? Did you say that?
I said whatever I said in that recording. I
Okay.
don't. When you play it for me, it's hard for me to remember every single.
And that's a recording marked as exhibit the punching.
Q. That was
Q.
just played.
Q. Would you continue to listen to exhibit Q?
Are these from the same day?
I reacted, but this whole the door thing. I never did that. That was on purpose. I did not on accident.
Okay. Let's say that was an accident. I then stood up. I don't even know if I might have said, like, what the fuck? You know, whatever. I just been hit in the head with the fucking corner of the door.
I'm so sorry. I did not. I'm sorry.
And then I stood up. And then you felt fuck.
I remember hitting it as a response to the door thing.
That's exactly what I just told us.
And I'm really sorry about hitting you with the door or hitting your head. I did not mean to, nor.
You don't need to hit me in the head with the door, but you meant to
I did.
punch me in the jaw.
I meant to hit you, and I did not do this thing with the door. I do remember. I did mean to hit you.
For that you didn't mean.
The door? No, God, no.
But punching me in the jaw.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So on the tape, you tell Johnny Depp that you did mean to hit him.
And it also misrepresents that what actually happened, which is him trying to get into a room I'm trying to keep him out of. And then he runs the door over my toes, trying to get into the room. I tried to push him out of it, which is what the hit is referred to. And Johnny, whenever he was injured or touched at all, was referred to it in these ways of punching or clocked or whatever. And whether you didn't discussed it with him or not, the last thing you do in talking to him afterwards or trying to reconcile with him is to get into what the definition of those words mean to him. I never even addressed it. If he was ever pushed, it was a quote. He called it a cold clock. I mean, it was just very dramatic.
Isn't it true?
You're smiling as that audio recording is being played in your deposition, aren't you, Ms. Heard?
Not smiling because of the audio. I'm smiling because of what's happening around me.
You even roll your eyes at one point, don't you?
I was sitting opposite a whole table full of lawyers who were snickering, laughing, and rolling their eyes at me while I was talking.
Is there something amusing about kicking a door into your husband's head?
No, I was rolling my eyes and commenting on what I was experiencing at that time in recounting the story.
Is there something amusing to you about punching your husband in the jaw?
That is not what I was smiling about, and no, I do not think it's amusing.
Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday that all you want to do is move on. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, your exact words were, quote, "I just want him to leave me alone. I want to move on with my life, and he won't let me." Do you remember that?
Yes, that is correct.
But that's not true, is it, Ms. Heard?
It is very true.
You just haven't been able to move on with your life, have you? From Mr. Depp.
I'm here, aren't I?
In fact, on October 11th, 2018, you actually commenced an arbitration action against Mr. Depp for defamation, didn't you?
I don't recall that, no.
Your Honor, may I approach? May we approach? Pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 219. And Ms. Hurd, if you could please read to yourself the first page of Exhibit 219.
All right.
And if you can also read to yourself the second page of Exhibit 219.
Yes.
And if you can scroll down, Tom. Again, Ms. Hurd, just to look at that page. And then scroll down to the next page, please. And the next page. Does that refresh your recollection, Ms. Hurd, that you did, in fact, in October of 2018, 2 months before you published the op-ed in this case, that's the subject of this case, you initiated an arbitration against Mr. Depp for defamation?
It's not my understanding I initiated an arbitration. It's my understanding that our lawyers sent a letter to his lawyers after he called me a liar again, effectively, in an interview.
And that's 2 months before your op-ed that was published in December of 2018, right?
That is correct.
And that's 6 months before Mr. Depp filed this case against you, correct?
That's correct.
So you fired the first shot, not Mr. Depp.
I disagree. We sent a letter.
Thank you. Ms. Hurd, isn't it true that you once filled out a customs form falsely so that you could get...
May we approach?
Okay.
Ms. Hurd, you testified yesterday that when you left the courthouse after obtaining the domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, you walked out to, quote, a sea of paparazzi and cameras, right?
That's correct.
You testified that you were surprised to see the sea of cameras.
That's correct.
Because it was quiet when you went into the courthouse that morning.
And the divorce had remained under the radar up to that point.
You testified that no one knew about your divorce, so you thought it was going to stay that way, right?
No, I always figured it would come out. I just was trying to buy time.
You knew the media had been alerted that you were filing for divorce, right, Ms. Hurd?
No, I just knew that it was impossible to do that privately, so you could just hope it was a matter of time.
You knew they were going to be there, didn't you?
No, I did not.
Your publicist-
I assume since it's a public building that there's that likelihood, or not likelihood, but possibility. But I was shocked.
Your publicist, Jody Gottlieb, was there at the courthouse with you, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
So you anticipated that you might need your publicist?
I thought the filing might make, I was told the filing was public, that it would be impossible. There's no way for you to do a private filing. And then the second that I filed for the TRO, it would be public news. I didn't expect all these photographers and cameras to show up at the courthouse in real time, but they did.
If we could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1280, which is a clip from your divorce deposition, and you have at page, if I can alert you, you have the transcript there, page 74, lines 22.
You said
through
874?
74.
74.
Line 22 through 75, line 13.
I'm sorry, just 72 lines.
74, line 22 through 75, line 13.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay. If we could please play and display to the jury Plaintiff's Exhibit 1280.
Is responsible.
Ms. Hurd, did you send a text message to Jerry Judge on May 24, 2016, telling Jerry Judge, quote, "I'm desperately trying to reach Johnny. It's extremely important. Please tell him"?
I remember sending the text message that is in front of me right now to Jerry, and I remember sending this because I wanted to tell Johnny or have him told by Jerry or someone who knew him or was close to him. Basically, I didn't want him to find out online that I had or was about to file or I had already filed for divorce. I wanted him to know verbally. So I was trying to reach him through a third party to tell him. When I say reach, I'm specifically saying I would like him to know information coming from me or coming from Jerry, from me, so that he finds out about the divorce filing or my intention to do so from some other source other than TMZ, which was alerted.
You slipped up there, didn't you, Ms. Heard? You let it slip out that TMZ had been alerted to your filing of the domestic violence restraining order, didn't you?
I disagree. That's not what I'm talking about.
TMZ is the same outlet that you released the video of Mr. Depp attacking the kitchen cabinets the day before this deposition was taken, wasn't it?
I didn't do that. I don't know how
owns
to do
the
that.
copyright to that video now, doesn't it?
I have no idea what TMZ
Did they
owns.
pay you for that?
I never got paid for it because I had nothing to do with that.
So TMZ was just lucky in getting the inside scoop to your divorce from Mr. Depp, huh?
I have no idea. That's not my area of expertise. I wouldn't even know how to do that. And also, what does that get me? If I wanted to leak things about Johnny, I could have done that in a much more successful way, in a bigger way, for years.
Not when you
years.
were extorting him for $7 million.
I got a fraction of what I was entitled to in the state of California, by the way.
Right.
What extortion?
Tassa Van Reed's your ex-wife, right?
That's right. She's my ex-partner.
She's the one that you told this jury Mr. Depp was jealous of, right?
Yeah, well, that was 2013 fights around March, yes.
You testified that he tried to burn one of her paintings, right?
That's correct.
You testified he tried to burn one of your favorite paintings that she did, right?
I don't know if it was one of my favorites.
You committed domestic violence against Miss Van Reed during your relationship, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You assaulted her at a Seattle airport in 2009, didn't you?
No, I did not.
And people saw that.
That's not true.
And it was covered in the press. Isn't that true?
It was planted in the press by Johnny's team 2 days after I got the TRO. Not
Can
coincidentally.
you please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1279?
Your Honor, may we approach?
That's fine.
You could please have that article displayed for the witness. This is an article from 2 years ago, correct, Ms. Heard?
I don't know when this
May
was.
of 2020.
That's not when it came out, no. This story started getting planted after I got a TRO, after I got a restraining order against Johnny.
The headline says, Amber Heard
Objection,
allegedly
Your Honor.
struck.
Objection, Your Honor. I think Your Honor ruled she can't say that.
If you want to approach again.
The title reads, Amber Heard allegedly struck her ex-girlfriend at the airport. Doesn't it?
Yes, and that's not true.
May we approach?
Okay.
So the article, the title is Amber Heard allegedly struck her ex-girlfriend.
She's already.
Overruled. Go.
Thank you. If I may start over. Amber Heard allegedly struck her ex-girlfriend Tassa Van Ree at the airport in 2009. Did I read that right?
Yes, this is another example of the smear campaign.
So Mr. Depp is not the only domestic partner you've assaulted, is he, Ms. Heard?
I've never assaulted Mr. Depp or anyone else that I've been romantically linked to, ever.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Cross-examination. I'm sorry. Redirect.
Ms. Heard, did Ms. Van Rey come out after that article came in and make a public statement it was false?
Of course.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Your Honor, I should be at least be.
Overruled.
Thank you.
Of course she did.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the TMZ alerted. Explain to the jury what you meant by the TMZ was alerted.
So when you make these kind of filings, meaning divorce, marriage, things like that, they are public record. And so when I filed for divorce, I asked my team to file in the most discreet way, literally to put it under a stack of papers and file it at the end of day, so kind of had more of a shot of being missed by the paparazzi and by TMZ and those sorts of publicity outlets. I believed that we had been remarkably lucky following the divorce, that it wasn't picked up, and that it gave me a precious few days of peace at that really fragile time. When I found out that they were going to run the story or that they had the information, I was trying to get a hold of Johnny to clarify that I did not do this in a punitive way. I didn't want him to be mad at me. I didn't want him to find out in that sort of context online.
And who had connections to TMZ?
Objection calls for speculation.
Do you know?
I do know. Johnny and I spoke about it.
Your Honor, calls for speculation.
The objection.
Did Mr. Depp tell you about who had connections with TMZ?
Yes, we talked about it. His lawyer, Laura Wasser.
Okay. Now, I'm going to start at the very beginning here. You were asked by Ms. Vasquez about why Mr. Depp won't or can't look you in the eye. And she read out, or she played a tape in which Mr. Depp said, "You will not see my eyes again." Do you recall that?
I do.
And that was during the mediation process in July, correct?
That was
Objection leading.
the first one.
Sustained is the leading.
When was this?
That was in July of 2016. That was the first mediation attempt. We met after that, and Johnny very much looked me in the eye.
Please tell the jury about the next meeting after he said, "You will not see my eyes again."
We met in the lawyer's office. They gave us a moment. Johnny kissed me again, held me. I cried, he cried, and then we had a short exchange, and he put a note in my pocket that said, "I'll love you dead or alive, my Slim," with his new phone number on it.
I'd like to bring up, Michelle, if you can, Defendant's Exhibit 1581L. I'm sorry? Oh. Do you recognize this?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell the jury what the coaster was that he slipped into your pocket, what it said?
He said, "I love you forever, my Slim, dead or alive."
And what, if anything, did it have in addition?
His new phone number.
And to be, just so we're clear, On how many occasions in that second mediation did Mr. Depp look you in the eye?
Many.
Okay. And when Ms. Vasquez asked you if you knew why Mr. Depp couldn't or wouldn't look you in the eye here or in the UK, you said, yes, you know. Why? Please tell the jury why.
Because he's guilty. Because he knows he's lying. Otherwise, why can't he look at me? I survived. I survived that man, and I'm here, and I'm able to look at him.
Thank you. You were asked about a bruise that was on your arm from March 15, 2013. Do you recall how long before the picture you had sustained that bruise?
I do.
How long?
2 weeks.
You were asked a number of times by Ms. Vasquez if you took pictures from your incidents earlier in the relationship.
Yes.
Why didn't you?
It was something I started doing only kind of incidentally. You know, I was commenting to my best friend. I was looking for support from my mom, things like that. There was, I'm ashamed to say, never a thought that this would happen. I mean, not until December and my best friend taking pictures of me to capture it that wasn't even a thing.
It has been suggested by Ms. Vasquez to you in your questions that you didn't tell anyone about the abuse until the TRO. Is that true?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
All right. What if any? All right. Who did you tell about the abuse during the time it was happening?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
That's not offered to.
And hearsay.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it's prior consistent statements.
It's leading. It's sustained. Next question.
Okay. What, if anything, did you tell to anyone about the abuse?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
I'll sustain.
Your Honor, may I approach?
That's fine.
Ms. Heard, how many people have you shared the fact of abuse prior to 2015?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading. Calls for hearsay.
How many?
Overruled now.
Roughly about 10.
Can you name them?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
I think she can. It's not offered. It's just to show that she informed people before. They're suggesting.
Objection, Your Honor. Can we approach? This is, again, inappropriate.
Now, you were asked whether you had consulted a medical doctor about any problems with your nose, correct?
That's correct.
And you indicated that you, in fact, had after the divorce.
Objection,
correct?
leading.
Did you or did you not consult an ENT after the divorce?
Objection, leading.
Did you produce medical records to the defendants relating to this?
Objection, leading calls.
Right, I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you.
Leading. Next question.
Your Honor, if we could, witness could be instructed not to answer until I've lodged my objection.
Wait for the objection, please.
Could we bring up Defendant's Exhibit 1077?
1077.
Do you recognize this document?
My screen is black.
Oh, sorry. Wait.
Yes, I do.
And could you tell us what it is?
That's what my ENT, the ears, nose, and throat doctor, told me was.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
All right. When there's objection, please stop talking. Thank you. All right. I'll sustain the objection as to hearsay.
Okay. What, if any, you were asked if you had, it was suggested that you had not produced this in discovery. Is that true?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
Your Honor, she absolutely did that.
It's leading. It's leading question, though. I'll sustain the objection as to leading.
What, if anything, did you do to produce medical records to the defendant, to the plaintiff in this case?
I turned over all of my devices, and they had Johnny's team had a third party or someone they selected as a third party go and pull all relevant documents from those devices, which I handed over.
Do you know how many were handed over?
Hundreds of thousands, I believe. Maybe.
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation.
Okay. All right. I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
And what, if anything, did you produce to the plaintiff in connection with your consultation with an ENT specialist relating to your nose?
Objection, leading.
Sustain.
Foundation, hearsay.
What, if any? It's not the cure-all. It's sustained.
When did you see an ENT specialist?
2017 or 2016 or 17.
And as a result of that consultation, what did you learn about your nose?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
I'm not asking her to tell what they said.
Yeah, I'll sustain the objection.
What, if any, production did you make to the plaintiffs of your medical records with the ENT?
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation.
If you only have foundation.
Do you know whether the medical records from your EMT were produced in discovery?
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation calls for speculation.
I'm
I'm
asking.
overruled if she knows.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall? I'm trying. What, if anything, did the medical records reflect about your nose?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection.
Do you have injuries to your nose?
Yes.
Please describe those to the jury.
I have
I'm going to
a bunch of
object
scar
to
tissue.
I'm going to object to the extent it calls for hearsay and lack of foundation
Overruled.
and improper expert opinion.
Well,
She can certainly testify too.
we'll see where it goes. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a significant amount of scar tissue in my nose.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection.
What, if any, difficulty do you have breathing?
Objection, leading.
What, if anything? And that does cure on
No,
it.
it doesn't. But I'll overrule the objection.
Thank you. Do you remember the
I
question?
have a significant amount of trouble breathing at night, and I've been putting off having surgery for it.
Okay. Now, you were asked about December 15, 2015, and Ms. Vasquez suggested that you did not report the abuse or the injuries to Aaron Falati. Do you recall that
Objection, Your
question?
Honor, leading.
Your Honor, I'm entitled to go into what Ms. Vasquez asked.
The objection is leading. I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Did you report, what, if anything, did you report to Aaron Falati about the abuse you sustained on 12/15/2015?
Objection, leading and hearsay.
Approach.
Did you tell Nurse Filati on 12/16/2015 about the injuries you sustained from the 12/15/2015 attack?
I did. I believe I sent her pictures too.
Okay. And did you text with Nurse Filati on 12/16/2015 about the injuries that you had suffered as a result of Mr. Depp's attack on you on 12/15?
Yes, she guided me through a concussion check.
And did you tell Connell Cowan about the injuries you sustained?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
It's prior consistent statements. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to sustain the objection at this point. Next question.
Do you recall Dr. Laurel Anderson testifying that she saw two black eyes
Objection,
on
Your Honor.
12/17?
Leading.
Sustain as to leading.
Okay. What, if anything, do you recall from Laurel Anderson's testimony in this case about what she observed on 12/17/2015?
Objection, Your Honor. This is outside the scope of cross-examination.
It's prior consistent statements.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
It's observations for
I'm
the
gonna
12/17, the same day.
Sustain the objection. Next question.
May I approach?
Okay.
When in December did you see Dr. Laurel Anderson?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Overruled.
I saw her 2 days after the attack.
So on what day did you see her then?
That would have been the 17th of December, 2016, and I told her what happened.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
No, sustain the objection.
And when did you see Dr. Connell Cowan?
I saw him the next day, December 16th is my best recollection.
Let's jump to East Asia for a moment. And we saw a number of pictures from the backless dress. What, if any, motivation would you have to claim that Mr. Depp was kneeling on your back, knowing you had a backless dress?
Objection, Your Honor.
I
Leading.
think I can bring
calls for
this out.
speculation.
It's still leading. I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Why did you say that Mr. Depp was kneeling on your back in East Asia?
In the closet of the hotel room in Tokyo, I said that because it happened to me. And it would have been much more convenient if I was making it up to not include that detail, knowing I had a backless dress and I walked a press line and got photographed.
Now, we've heard testimony about Mr. Depp making a total of $65 million in 2015 and 2016 from his experts.
Objection, Your Honor.
Why did
leading?
I haven't asked the question.
Hearsay. I mean,
Why did you not ask for $32.5 million from Mr. Depp?
Your Honor, leading.
I said, why did you not ask?
And relevant.
I'll sustain the
explanation.
objection. Sustain the objection to leading. Next question.
Why, can I just ask, why did you not ask for $32.5 million from Mr. Depp?
Because I didn't want
Asked and answered. Relevance.
Oh, overruled. Good.
Because I didn't want it. I realized that that's what I was entitled to, but I didn't want it. That simple.
The tape recording that was played that has you laughing quite a bit. Can you tell the jury what the context of that particular tape recording was?
I don't really recall a whole lot about what was going on. I know we had been fighting kind of ad nauseum and in this sort of loop, if you will, and I'm doing my best to not show my pain. That's what I was trying to do. Just trying to be tough, not show what kind of pain I was in. Okay.
Now, Ms. Vasquez asked you about how you got your role in Aquaman. Could you please describe to the jury how you got your role in Aquaman?
I auditioned, not Johnny. I auditioned. I worked really hard, and I went to where we were filming the first movie, Justice League. I went, I think, 5.5 months early before filming commenced, when I heard that they wanted to fire me, and so I put myself in the job.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sustain.
Keep it away.
I worked really hard. I worked really hard on that and had to prove myself, and I did that for, even though I was only filming for 6 days, I was there for 6 months. Just worked my butt off. That's why.
What, if any, role did Mr. Depp play in your getting Aquaman?
He tried to have me fired from it.
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
All right, I'll sustain his speculation.
How do you know that he tried to have you fired?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation and hearsay and lack of foundation.
I'm trying to lay a foundation.
All right, you have to lay a foundation.
I saw it. I saw the emails. I saw the texts.
I'll sustain the objection as to hearsay. Next question.
You were asked about Isaac Baruch and why and that he saw no marks. What is your recollection of your interaction with Isaac Baruch during the week of May 22nd?
I saw Isaac when I was coming or going, meaning I was leaving or arriving to the building. I saw him at a distance. We did not have a in-depth conversation, nor would we. And I told him, actually, right after it happened, what his friend had done.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
I don't think it's offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. Stay away from what was said. Can you just tell us what interaction you had with him and his opportunity to observe you with absolutely no makeup?
Objection,
That's
Your Honor.
impossible.
Leading.
I'll sustain the objection. It's leading.
Please describe for the jury your interaction with Isaac Baruch during the week of May 22nd.
Well, not only did I have makeup on, but I did attempt to kind of let him know what happened.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
You were asked some questions about Officer Melissa Science's testimony. What, if anything, do you recall relating to Officer Melissa Science's testimony relating to your injuries?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Your Honor said I could redirect after the cross-examination. When she... What, if anything, do you recall of Officer Science's testimony in this case relating to your injuries and the property destruction?
I recall her saying that she didn't feel that the state I was in was enough of an injury to her, or wasn't injury seeming to her.
Okay. And what about the property damage?
She claims she did not see any property damage, but I walked with her over broken glass, so I don't know why she's saying that.
What, if any, interactions did you have with Alejandro Romero during the week of May 22?
I spoke to him briefly.
Objection, Your Honor, to the extent it calls for hearsay.
Overruled at this point. Just spoke to him.
I spoke to him briefly in passing as I was entering, and maybe when I was exiting the building, but always when I was on my way out or in from being outside, meaning makeup. I had makeup on always, as I do.
Why did James Franco visit you on the evening of 5/22/2016?
Objection calls for speculation.
Do you know?
Yes.
Please tell us.
Because he was my friend and he lived next door, quite literally next door. And I had frankly exhausted my support network with my usual friends and was happy to welcome as much friendship at that time as I could possibly get.
Now, the video showed him laying his head on your shoulder. Can you describe for the jury what the interaction was, without saying what was said, what the interaction was that led to that?
He, after seeing my face, put his
Objection, Your
head on
Honor,
my
calls for
shoulder.
speculation.
That doesn't call for speculation. If she sees that he sees her.
He touched the side of my
I'll
face
sustain the
too.
objection.
And
Okay.
again, Your Honor, if we can instruct the witness
If
to...
you could wait till after the objection, please. All right. Next question.
What did Mr. Franco do on the elevator before laying his head on your shoulder?
He kind of touched the side of my face and responded to what he saw.
We talked about you were shown a bunch of newspaper headlines, and there was one in particular referring to sexual violence. What, if anything, did Mr. Waldman do to you relating to that article?
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation calls for speculation.
What did he do to her?
Unintelligible. I don't understand the question.
Overruled. We'll see where it goes.
He was carrying the paper that had that headline on it that he leaked and threw it at me at the UK trial. We were unfortunately sat kind of, actually literally next to one another with COVID spacing in between us, and he threw the paper down at me as he sat down with that on the cover.
And where was that?
In the UK, at the UK trial.
Objection, Your Honor. This is beyond the scope.
That's not beyond the
No,
scope.
overruled.
Thank you. Why did you tweet about the makeup and Mr. Waldman?
Because he was calling me a liar and a hoaxer, and that this was an elaborate hoax just to get Johnny.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question. Next question.
Yeah, okay. I don't have any more questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right. Ma'am, you can have a seat next to your attorney, okay? You can go ahead and have a seat next to her. That's fine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take our afternoon recess then for 15 minutes. Do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside research, okay? All right, is your next witness a live witness, remote witness, or deposition?
Be by deposition.
Deposition. All right, so we'll get the TV set up for that, and let's just come back then at 3:30, okay? All right, thank you.
All right.
There is evidence in the tweet. I know that the tweet Plaintiffs 3 is a retweet or a tweet that has the hyperlink of the online op-ed in it. And I know that a mere hyperlink without more cannot constitute republication. However, here, when there's additional content that could constitute republication in this matter, so there is evidence of ownership and additional content that the jury could find constitute republication, and that is a factual question that does survive a motion to strike. Therefore, the motion to strike is denied as to count one.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, are we ready for the jury? All right. All right, thank you. You may be seated. All right, your next witness.
Our next witness is Mr. I.O. Tillett Wright, and it starts with counsel for Mr. Depp asking questions, and then we'll switch over to me.
All right, thank you.
Right, good morning again. Have you had any communications with Ms. Hurd at all, including text or emails or otherwise, in connection with your preparation for this deposition?
No.
Have you had any? When's the last time you spoke to her?
April of last year. April or May. Almost a year ago.
Mr. Wright, when did you first meet Ms. Hurd?
I met Amber in the end of 2011.
And where did you meet her?
In Los Angeles.
And what were the circumstances of the meeting?
A friend was introducing us to each other so that I could photograph her for a large portrait series that I was doing at the time.
And what was your profession in 2011?
I was a photographer and I worked for the New York Times, I think. I don't recall exactly everything, but...
In 2011, you were both a photographer and separately worked for the New York Times as a freelancer.
I worked for the New York Times as a journalist and photographer.
And what is your profession today?
I'm a writer and a producer.
And between 2011 and through the present, have you had any other professions other than photographer, writer, or producer?
Yes.
And what are those?
I've hosted a television show or two. I made some podcasts. I wrote 2 other books. 2 books. 3 books. 3 books. I've written 3 books. A number of things. I don't know. There are more things that I've always been a multi-hyphenate person. To the best of my recollection, we initially met at a mutual friend's house, which I think I already stated. That friend is also an actor and had met Amber at the Children's Hospital while they were both volunteering, and knew that Amber had done quite a bit of LGBT activism, and mentioned my project to her, and then invited her over to the other friend invited Amber to her house so that we could all meet. And Amber and I discovered that we liked the same books, and we liked psychology, and just, you know, laughed and had fun that night. And then I asked her if she would participate in the photo project, I think, or somebody did, and she said yes. A couple of days later, I went to the house that she was staying at, and I photographed her for the project. And then thereafter, I went back to New York, where I lived. And I remember her texting me and saying that she was shooting a movie in New York, and did I want to get lunch? So we got lunch, and we became friends.
Okay, please walk me through that.
We met in 2011. We started becoming friends soon thereafter. Very early in 2013, I came to LA to spend a couple of months with my then, I don't know if she was my girlfriend or my fiance at that point, but the person that I was in a relationship with, in a very serious relationship with. And during the time that I was in LA, I spent more time with Amber. We both spent more time with Amber. And I was introduced to Johnny. And the summer of 2013, I ended up moving to LA, during which Amber and Johnny and I got even closer, very, very close. And then we remained close, the three of us, for 2-ish years. And then all of this happened, this nightmare, and Johnny and I stopped being friends, and Amber and I stayed friends. And then Amber and I were friends up until the date that I told you that we last spoke.
And at some point in time, did you live on the same property as Johnny Depp and Amber Heard?
Yes.
And when was that?
It was August 2013 until I believe June 1st of 2014. I moved into my own house, so 9 months.
And why is it that you left that property, left living there?
Because I didn't want to live for free in someone's property, and I wanted to have my own house and support myself.
And for how long after that did you stay close with both Johnny and Amber?
I stayed close with both of them. I don't remember. It was sometime in 2015, I think, late 2015 maybe. Johnny and I were no longer. I think the period when I really stopped considering Johnny a friend of mine was December of 2015.
Okay. Well, let me ask it this way. You never saw Mr. Depp assault or beat Ms. Heard on any occasion, correct?
That's correct. I just would like to clarify, Mr. Preciado, that's a question you already asked me, so you're asking me the same question again about whether or not I witnessed Mr. Depp assault Ms. Heard?
That's right.
No, I have not witnessed that.
Let me ask it this way then. Have you ever personally seen Mr. Depp assault or beat Ms. Heard on any occasion?
No.
Now, back to this same paragraph where it says, my experience of Johnny during the time that we were close, from 2013 through 2015, was that he could be incredibly kind, generous, and loyal. Can you give me examples of his kindness, generosity, and loyalty during that period of time?
Johnny, when sober, was lovely and magical and very funny. Johnny, when sober, was incredibly lucid and imaginative, and I felt a kindred connection with him and a shared perspective on the world that I've shared with very few people in my life. Johnny, when sober, understood how much influence he had over people, and he was very kind to them about it and generous with talking to them about whatever came up. And he was also, when sober, very he made time for people's nervousness around him, which I witnessed on a number of occasions. He also he had his number of houses on that street, and there was a constant rotation of different people coming to town who could all afford to live somewhere else or stay somewhere else, who he would let and enjoyed having in those houses, which I find to be generous.
In the next paragraph, paragraph 6, you refer to Mr. Depp's struggles with respect to OxyContin. You say that in late 2013, after dental surgery, he became hooked on OxyContin. Did you ever experience him while he was on OxyContin?
Yes.
And while he was on OxyContin, did you ever experience him to be mean or vicious?
I can't answer that with any accuracy because I don't know whether or not the times that I did see him be mean or vicious, he was also on OxyContin.
In paragraph 5, where you say that he could be incredibly mean and vicious, especially when he was drunk or high. When you refer to drunk or high, what substances are you referring to?
The substances that I saw him ingest with my own eyes were cocaine and hard liquor, marijuana, ecstasy, mushrooms, wine, probably some other things, but those are the immediate ones that jump to mind. Cocaine and any kind of alcohol would bring out a very, very ugly side of him, very misogynistic and cruel and other things. And when he would take any kind of psychedelic like ecstasy or MDMA, he would become paranoid. When he would drink alcohol, he would become paranoid. Yeah, I think that I answered your question.
You mentioned that you witnessed him having had cocaine. Did you ever have cocaine with him?
No.
Were there any drugs or substances that you took with him?
I don't smoke marijuana. I don't do cocaine. For the entire period that I knew Johnny and thereafter, I did not drink alcohol. There was I think 1 week period during the peak of my breakup, during which Johnny offered me some pain pills to get through the intensity of that situation, and that was the only time that I took any substances for 3.5 years. No, that's not true. That was the only time that I took any substances with Johnny. And all the other things that I had stated previously about what I do and don't do are also accurate.
So I'm sorry, just to summarize that, is your testimony that when you witnessed Mr. Depp drunk and high, you were not also either drunk or high? Is that your testimony?
My testimony is that during the entire period that I knew Mr. Depp, I was never drunk or drinking or consuming alcohol at all. My testimony is that for a 1, maybe 2 week, possibly 2.5 week, I don't remember, period, on a sporadic occasion, I took some pain pills that Mr. Depp offered me to get through an extreme emotional pain situation. When I witnessed Johnny doing cocaine, I was not drunk or high. Other occasions that I witnessed Johnny drinking, I was not drunk or high. There was a very narrow window during which I was taking some mind-altering pain pills for a very brief period, during which I witnessed Johnny drunk and high.
Did you ever witness Miss Amber Heard drunk or high?
Yes.
And did you ever witness her drink alcohol?
Yes.
Did you ever witness her ingesting cocaine?
Are you asking, like, ever in the history of time have I ever witnessed Amber ingest cocaine?
That's the first question, yes.
The answer is no. Amber was vehemently against cocaine.
Did you ever witness her smoke marijuana?
No. Marijuana is not her drug.
What is her drug?
I haven't spoken to Amber in a year, but as far as I know and have known her for the last 11 or 12 years, Amber doesn't have a narcotic of choice.
Have you seen her ingest ecstasy?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
How many times have you seen her ingest ecstasy?
I can think of one instance in particular when she took it for her birthday, like a celebration.
Do you recall what year that was?
An event.
Other than the narcotics and alcohol that I mentioned, did you ever witness Ms. Heard ingest any other drugs?
Are you asking me if, other than, what did you ask me about? Cocaine, ecstasy, and mushrooms, I've witnessed Amber taking any other illegal narcotics? Or are you asking me about prescription medications? Can you clarify?
Narcotics other than prescription narcotics.
I don't know, but I don't actually think no.
Okay.
Amber drinks red wine when she's not training, or let me rephrase that. Amber, when I knew her, drank red wine in the evenings fairly regularly, with the exception of when she was training for an acting role.
Have you ever witnessed Miss Heard intoxicated?
Yes.
And how often would you estimate that you witnessed Miss Heard intoxicated?
I don't know how to quantify intoxicated. If you're asking me how often I witnessed her drunk, is that your question?
Yes.
Amber's strangely immune to getting drunk unless she's really drunk a lot. So I didn't see her drunk very often. I saw her drinking often, but I didn't see her out of her faculties very often. Like, you know, I saw that a handful of times in the 11 years that I knew her.
And how would you describe how alcohol affects Miss Heard's personality based on your experience?
You know, it depends on the circumstance. If it was during a moment when she was celebrating, it would make her loose. Like if we were salsa dancing, then, you know, she would have fun and be fun and at a party and, you know, inebriated and dancing and having fun. If she was in a stressful situation, I think it would just kind of exacerbate whatever the feeling of the moment was.
I'm going to ask you to state your name for the record. Nobody has yet. This is me. In case you haven't recognized my voice.
All right, go
My
ahead.
name is Tillett, Wright.
Let's bring up Depp exhibit number 1 again, please. Mr. Tillett Wright, you were asked some questions by Mr. Presidio. And I'm going to take you back up to the first page where you were asked some questions. And he started out with, I'm just going to draw your attention to paragraph 4. And you indicated you met Johnny Depp through Amber. And you hit it off immediately. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then you explained to Mr. Presidio that you considered Johnny to be a close friend and you cared very much about Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
He became a close friend, and I did care very much about it. I still care very much about him.
All right. Could you please describe that relationship that you had with Mr. Depp up until, I think you said, December of 2015?
Sure. Okay, Mr. Depp and I first met. Amber invited me over to his house with my then partner, girlfriend. I don't know if she was my fiance yet or not. In, I think, February of 2013, right at the beginning of 2013. And we all hung out, the 4 of us hung out in his house, in his living room, and just kind of talked and got to know each other. And it was sweet. I was mostly hanging out with Amber and kind of meeting this person. It was a trip to meet someone like that, you know, and see his house. And he was very friendly and very welcoming and very kind. And then the next time we saw each other was at, Amber and I both like to do what we call family dinners. So we invite people over and cook for them and have a dinner party. And Amber did an elaborate family dinner at her house, and Johnny and I and my ex and Amber and I believe Whitney were there. I don't know if anyone else was there. I'm sure other people were there. I don't remember. And Johnny and I really connected at that dinner. We were sitting either opposite each other or just catty-corner from each other, and I left feeling a very intense connection to him, and I was like, well, yeah, sure, everybody probably feels an intense connection to him because of who he is. Forget it, it's ridiculous. And then a couple of days later, Amber had another dinner, such a dinner at her house, and Johnny and I had another really good time and felt very connected and really laughed a lot and whatever. And at the end of the dinner, as I was standing to leave with my ex, Johnny came up to me and said, I don't really know how to say this because it doesn't happen to me very often, but I think I love you. And I felt strange because I felt the same way. And I said, that's funny because I had that same experience after the last dinner party too. And then we joked about how crazy and ridiculous that felt. And we exchanged phone numbers, and then he texted me wanting to talk about Amber a couple of times, and I felt that it was like kind of violating her privacy. So I said that I was happy to be friendly with him and happy to, I don't remember exactly what I said, but something to the effect of like, you know, I'm happy to give advice or to help you guys stay in concert with each other, but I don't want to violate anybody's privacy with the other one. And I think he really respected that and really liked that because he also values his privacy greatly. And then, yeah, was in LA for a couple more months, and I don't know, I think maybe we hung out more during that period. I'm not sure. I don't remember if they came to New York during the next stretch of time or what happened, but basically by the summer, I came back to LA to write, and had a very bad breakup with that fiance, and was going through some things personally that Johnny, he was like, I recognize what's happening for you. It was like particularly bad anxiety-related, trauma-related things. And I didn't expect him to offer me any support around that stuff, but he just was like, wait, I see what you're going through. This is my experience of it. I have the same thing, and let's talk about it. And like, if you need anything, I'm here. And I was like, thank you so much. I didn't really expect that. And I went back to New York to be with my family for a couple days, or maybe a week or something. And it was very painful to be there. And he had said, if it's painful to be there, just let me know and come back and stay here. And so I did. And I came back, and I originally was going to stay at Amber's house because she kept her apartment for a number of years while they were together, even though she stayed at his house a lot, that she paid for, etc. And she was, the person that I had known longer, so I felt more comfortable being at her house. And then the consensus was that I should be closer to them. And so he said, there's this house that's just sitting empty at the end of the street, just stay there. And I was very hesitant because I didn't want to take advantage of him. And he was insistent, and he was very kind about it, and he said that he understood fully what having PTSD and anxiety could do, and that he wanted to help. So I went and I stayed there, and then that was, I'm guessing, in August of 2013, and then in September, I think, Amber went to England to shoot a movie. So I was there, and Johnny and I would hang out on our own, and Johnny doesn't have a ton of friends because he can't, and I would go up and hang out with him. We really enjoyed each other. We really liked each other, and so we would just hang out, on a daily basis, eat dinner or watch movies, and I'd hang out with his kids, and got, very into a very sweet uncle niece-nephew relationship with his kids, and they called me Uncle Io. And
Mr. Tillett, Wright, did you ever call Mr. Depp brother, or your brother, refer to him as your brother?
Yes, I did.
Now, I'm going to take you to paragraph 5 of Depp Exhibit number 1, and Mr. Presidio asked you about this paragraph as well. And at the end of it, you had said, and he could be incredibly mean and vicious, especially when he was drunk or high. What did you mean by that?
What I meant by that was, on a number of occasions, I saw, Amber or he, I think, also would ask me to come and help. He and I had more of a mano a mano kind of relationship, and she and I had I was kind of the only person that would check either of them for a while, and so they would both ask me to do that with each other. So I saw him, for example, I remember there was a time when it was very late at night. I was down the hill, so I went up the hill, and he was outside by the pool with a glass of what I understood to be whiskey, and she was inside crying and very upset in the kitchen, I think. And then I went outside and talked to him for a long time. Situations like that, or and he would say things. He said something to me that night that I thought, that night by the pool, where I thought, Jesus Christ, things like, she's gonna, all she's got is her looks, and she has no talent, and when her tits start to sag and her face gets wrinkly, nobody is going to be interested in her for anything, and she better figure out another way to survive and shit like that. Sorry, pardon me, things like that. And I also witnessed him when Amber was in England. Marilyn Manson and Paul Bettany came over at one point, and there was a great deal of cocaine and alcohol involved that I witnessed them doing together. I don't specifically recall if Mr. Bettany did or did not partake in the cocaine, or really much of anything except things that he said and his personality. But Mr. Manson and Mr. Depp partook in a lot of cocaine.
What, if anything, did Mr. Depp tell you about his struggles with drugs and alcohol?
And we sat on the couch, and he told me a number of things. He told me about his childhood. He told me about growing up in Kentucky. He told me about growing up very poor and how his mom was verbally and physically abusive. He told me that when he was very, very young, like 13 or something, he started drinking and taking drugs, I think, or at least drinking quite heavily. He was even kind of like, yeah, it's crazy, I know, but I've been doing it my whole life and built like a tank. And so that was kind of the nature of the conversation. And he told me that he had struggled with ever not drinking or ever not doing drugs. And he also told me that he didn't particularly enjoy being sober, but that, people around him were very concerned. He was very, very concerned with his children, and he would express shame or regret about times that he had been inebriated to the point of falling down or embarrassing himself, urinating on himself, things like that, when his children were around, and that he was very grateful to the people who had kind of shielded them and whisked them away. And he told me that in his relationships with previous women, his drug and alcohol use had been an issue, but that he just didn't really like life sober, and that it was too painful to be alive without imbibing or getting high. And he also told me that he had experienced great bouts of jealousy in relationships that had also led to a lot of drinking and a lot of rage activities. He told me that happened with Winona. He told me that happened with Winona Ryder and Kate Moss. He told me that had happened with Vanessa Paradis.
Mr. Tillett, Wright, what, if any, observations did you make about Mr. Depp abusing OxyContin?
Over the course of those 2 years, Mr. Depp told me verbatim that he was addicted to OxyContin. And I have a text message from him where he expresses that it's extraordinarily hard to kick, and that it I don't remember exactly the words that he uses, but he referred to it to me verbally many times as like the hardest thing that he's ever tried to kick, which he's tried to kick most things. He said it was harder than heroin. So he was very open and verbose about OxyContin, having gotten addicted to OxyContin.
So what, if any, observations did you make about Mr. Depp smoking cigarettes and joints, marijuana?
Mr. Depp as far as I could see, always had a cigarette or joint in his mouth at all times, to the point where I was confused about how he could function. He also showed me his marijuana closet that had, I don't know, tens and tens of pounds of weed in it.
What, if any, observations did you make while you were staying at Sweetser? I think you said that was August 2013 through May of 2014, with respect to the type of alcohol and the amount of alcohol that Mr. Depp was consuming.
When I saw Mr. Depp drink, it was often hard liquor. I believe it was whiskey and gin and tequila, maybe. Could also be vodka. I don't know. He had a full bar in 80, the house that they, with his recording studio in it, that they mostly stayed in. So, I know whiskey for sure, and there was also red wine, a lot of red wine.
And when you talk about the whiskey and the red wine, how much did you observe Mr. Depp consume on any given occasion of those?
I don't know. The one occasion I know specifically was the one that I mentioned before during the argument, where he suddenly had a glass of whiskey, and I remember it being like, I remember clocking, because I grew up counting people's drinks. I remember clocking that it was a very large pour in the glass of whiskey.
If you recall those, I think my question was, what, if any, observations did you make, or did Mr. Depp ever tell you about him blacking out?
Mr. Depp was very open with everyone that he was a heavy user. And he told me about, I know there was one instance where he had this very large house property. So if Sweetser Avenue goes like this, the house that I was staying at, 76, is down here, then there's 78, which is right here, and then up here is 80, and then across the street, I guess, is 82. And 82 is a very large compound. So he and I were staying, I was at 76 or up at 80, and then 82 they lived in for a brief period of time. And he told me about like vanishing into 82, into the property, into the because it was very lush and a lot of trees, and went up quite far up the hill. And he told me about kind of like blacking out and going in there. On one instance, he told me, he told me that in Australia, he had blacked out, but he also told me that he fucked up, so I don't know. In terms of specific blackouts, there were a number. I think he said on the plane, he said that he didn't remember what had happened.
What, if anything, did Mr. Depp say to you about whether he wanted to become sober and clean?
Mr. Depp expressed to me that he wanted to get sober for Amber, that he didn't enjoy being sober, that it wasn't fun, and that it was distressing and exhausting, and very hard to do. He really resented having to be sober. He didn't want to be.
And what, if anything, did Mr. Depp say to you about his perception of Amber's role in him becoming sober and clean?
He expressed a number of times that he felt like she was his leash and she was holding him back from doing what he wanted to do in terms of substances and alcohol. I just want to go back to another incident that I remember. He told me he blacked out was on the island. He went to the Bahamas. There were two different instances One was, I guess, like they had only recently met, and he told me that he passed out face down in the sand while his kids were there, and that the staff had like whisked his kids away so that they didn't see it.
Mr. Tillett, when you said that Mr. Depp used the term monster, what do you recall him saying about that?
And the language that ended up being kind of settled on was that there was a side of him that was the monster, and that it was not who he was, but it was something that lived within him that he had to battle. And the language that he always used was that of battle and battling the demon, battling the monster. So that the monster, you know, he would say things like, the monster will not win. I will not be that type of man, you know. I don't want to be that type of man or husband. I don't want to hurt. He would call her Slim, our Slim, our girl, referring to all of her friends and him and her and I. Yeah.
What, if any, observations did you make of Mr. Depp, both in terms of physical as well as temperament, when you perceived him as having too much to drink?
Mr. Depp would drink and or take drugs. He would get very mean, very surly, very paranoid, extremely paranoid. He would weave these elaborate situations in which Amber was having affairs with every man that she ever worked with and every woman she ever came in contact with. He became very demeaning. Johnny is incredibly intelligent, incredibly smart and witty, and he would point his jokes at people, Amber's appearance, her talent, her lack of talent as he perceived it, why he thought that she was actually famous, which he always implied was just because of her looks, and because he thought that everyone wanted to have sex with her, and he would insult his fans. He called them, I remember he called them remoras, which is a type of sucker fish that attaches itself to the hull of a ship and puts a hole in it and then sinks it. He would rail against his mother and his sisters, pretty much, you know, anyone that he felt had crossed him or could cross him, he became very nasty about.
What, if anything, do you recall Mr. Depp saying about his mother and comparing his mother to Amber?
Mr. Depp told me that his mom was viciously cruel to him during his upbringing, and that she was also viciously, like, violent with him and with his siblings and with his father. He referred to her, pardon my language, as a bitch and a cunt a lot. And he seemed to kind of compare them in the sense that he said at one point, something to the effect, it's right here actually, I already have a mom who was a bitch to me, I don't need another one in my life. There was a fair bit of that kind of like, you know, my mom's been awful enough to me already, I don't need another woman who's gonna also be awful to me.
What, if any, discussions did you have with Johnny about the fights he had with Amber?
We had a lot of discussions about his fights with Amber.
What do you recall?
In the very beginning, he expressed that she made him feel crazy, that he was so in love that it made him feel crazy. The very first time that I mentioned, September of 2013, when he and I were alone together a lot, he expressed that he thought that she was cheating on him and sleeping with her co-stars in England on the films. And I said to him, or in the film, and I said to him, listen, you know, I know her, I think, pretty well, and I talk to her a lot, and I think if she was having an affair, I would be one of the very few people that she would tell about it, and I don't hold secrets or lies for anybody, and I would tell you if that was happening so you could make your own decisions. But as far as I know, that's really not the case, and I think that she's really in love with you, and I think that she also is worried that you are having affairs because both of you are used to being sex symbols on Earth, and both of you need to just accept the fact that you're really in love with each other and lean in and be together and love each other. And he told me that sometimes his jealousy would make him feel crazy and outside himself, and that he had to get it under control, and that it would cause them to fight, to be specific in regard to your question. He told me about the fight that they had the time that I went up there. Are you asking for specific instances, or are you asking about the nature of their fights?
No, I am asking for what he told you about their fights and specific instances, yes.
So to continue with what I was saying from before, he told me about the fight in the middle of the night when I was living down the hill at Sweetser. When I mentioned that I saw him with a heavy pour of whiskey, I went outside to the pool and spoke to him, and he told me about the argument that they had and that she gets mean during fights, and that it really hurts his feelings, and that he then lashes out at her, and that, you know, she called him old, and he then calls her soon to be ugly and talentless, and that they get really ugly with each other. He told me about a fight that they had. We went to England that September. It was Whitney's birthday, I think. Amber's sister, Whitney. And Amber was stuck working. My birthday, Raquel's birthday, and Whitney's birthday, the three people who she was the closest to, all have birthdays in September. Raquel's just before the end of August, whatever. We're all Virgos, and she couldn't be with any of us on our birthday, so we all went to England to surprise her. And during that trip, Johnny proposed to her, and they then, I'm pretty sure that night after the proposal, got in a huge fight, which they both told me about separately. And he said, I'm pretty sure that he trashed the hotel room. Let's see. I spoke to him after. I went and talked to him after their fight on the plane.
So that's the Boston LA plane incident, is that right?
That's correct.
So Mr. Tillett, Wright, I'm going to ask you about the Boston LA flight incident. You talked about it a little bit earlier, and you just said now that you spoke with Mr. Depp about it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What do you recall of your discussion with Mr. Depp about the Boston plane incident that happened in May of 2014?
And I went upstairs to his bedroom, which was like blacked out, and I woke him up. I remember shaking his shoulder, and saying to him, hey buddy, like, wake up, which was not something that a lot of people did to Johnny, wake him from his slumber. And he woke up and we had a conversation about what happened on the plane. And he didn't really remember being on the plane. He didn't really remember getting off the plane. He didn't really remember much detail of anything, and he swore up and down that he was going to stop, and he was going to stop drinking and taking drugs, and he was going to never do it again. That was that incident.
What if any meetings related to alcohol did you and Amber attend in this time frame?
I understand, because we didn't go to many meetings. I took Amber with me to Al-Anon, which is it's like a sister program to AA for the family and friends and loved ones of addicts and alcoholics, which I regularly attended. So she came with me to a number of Al-Anon meetings, and she also had, I think, 1 or 2 phone calls with my dad's wife about how she dealt with helping him get off of his drugs and drink less, and she read a number of books about it. She was watching documentaries about it. She would listen to any radio show she could get on, like anything she could get her hands on that would give her some tools for how to deal with this, she consumed in that period.
What, if any, communications did Johnny have with you in this time frame about wanting to get back with Amber after the Boston plane incident?
We went to New York, and I remember we were staying at the Ace Hotel in Midtown. And Johnny started reaching out to me. He went eventually back to Boston to start filming again. Would have been in like the next day or 2, because we weren't there for that long. And he reached out to me and basically said something to the effect of, like, you know, I have to fix this. I will do anything that I can. And then while he was in Boston, he let me know, and I think he was trying to reach Amber too, but she wasn't ready to talk to him. He let me know that he had engaged Dr. Kipper, and that he intended with every fiber in his being to get sober, and that the nature of the conversation at that point was that he was going to beat this thing, you know?
Yes, please describe for me what transpired, what you discussed with Johnny and Amber relating to Australia in 2015.
After because they were married in February, and they went to Australia in the spring.
You know, I'm going to interrupt you just for a moment, and forgive me, I just want to keep it chronologically there. You described earlier that you were present for the wedding, correct, in February of 2015?
Yes.
Okay. And you also had discussed about Amber wanting Johnny to be sober for the wedding. What, if any, observations did you make about Johnny at the ceremony, and with respect to whether he was sober and clean?
You know, I don't actually know whether Johnny was. I don't think Johnny was drinking on the day of their wedding. I really don't actually think he was. Let me rephrase that. Before the ceremony on the day of their wedding. Because I was going back and forth between their respective, like, private preparation quarters where they were getting ready, because I was technically her best man and his son Jack was his best man, but I wasn't one of the girls and felt more comfortable over there with them, but I was helping all the girls. So I was running back and forth on this golf cart between. I was also taking pictures. I was one of 2 people who was friends with them that had worked as photographers, so I volunteered to take pictures. So I was very intimately with Johnny and Jack leading up to the wedding, and he wasn't drinking, I don't think. I don't remember seeing him drink.
And then let me ask you this. after the ceremony, as you were walking to the reception, what, if anything, did Johnny Depp say to you about Amber?
As we were walking back from the ceremony, we were coming into Café Los Cabrones, which is where the party was happening, and I was walking with Johnny and congratulating him that they pulled it off and that they did it, you know. And he said, "We're married now. I can punch her in the face and nobody can do anything about it."
So I'm going to now turn your direction to Australia, roughly a month later after the wedding. You weren't present in Australia with Amber and Johnny, correct?
That's correct.
I'm showing you what has been marked as exhibit number 3. Do you recognize anybody in this picture?
I do, yeah. Myself and Miss Heard. I do, yeah.
Please describe what you see.
I see a number of long, thin cuts.
And what, if any, similarity are those to the ones you just described, having seen after Amber returned from Australia?
Very similar.
All right. And are they the same or are they different ones?
I would have no way of knowing if they're the same or different ones, but they're similarly long, skinny cuts like the ones that I saw after she came back from Australia.
I'm going to show, Mr. Tillett, I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 5. And it's a text message exchange. Do you recognize this text message number here below Arrow's Arc?
That's my old phone number, yes.
Okay, so does this represent the text message exchange between you and Amber Heard on 12/16/2015?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and I'm going to start you at the top with the blue. It says, "I need you." Do you recognize who is sending that message?
Yeah.
Mr. Tillett, I'm going to ask you to take a look at what has been marked as exhibit number 6. Do you recognize the person in this photo?
Yes, I do.
Please describe what you see in this picture.
I see Amber Heard, and I see an injury to Amber's scalp.
Okay. And what, if anything, do you recall about seeing anything similar to that when you arrived in December 2015 at Amber's penthouse?
I remember this being one of the injuries that I was shown when I arrived at Penthouse 3 at the Eastern Building on December 16th, 2016.
And does this picture that's marked as exhibit number 6 accurately depict what you recall seeing?
I remember this being one of, I think maybe 2 scalp injuries that were. I remember there was another one as well, but I could be mistaken. I believe there was another one on a different part of her head as well.
Do you recognize the picture that is set forth as exhibit number 7?
Yes, I do.
Please describe for me what is depicted in this picture that you recognize.
This was a picture of Amber's scalp.
And does this accurately depict what you saw when you were shown it, as you testified earlier in December 2015?
Yes, it does.
Mr. Tillett, I'm going to show you what has been marked as deposition exhibit number 8. Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, I do.
Please describe what's depicted there.
This is Amber Heard's face with a very swollen lip.
And does this accurately depict what you observed when you arrived at Amber Heard's penthouse in December 2015?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as deposition exhibit number 9. Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, I do.
Please describe.
This is the clump of hair that I was shown, I believe, when I arrived at Penthouse 3 on the night of December 16th, 2015.
And does this accurately and genuinely depict the scene that you recall seeing?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Now, what if any plans was there as of December 16, 17 of 2015 for Amber to be spending Christmas with Mr. Depp and his kids? Do you recall?
Taking the pictures down while we talk. Yes, I do recall. There was a plan for Johnny and Amber and Lily Rose and Jack and Raquel and her boyfriend or fiance at the time, Josh, to go to the Bahamas. Oh, and Raquel's mom and Amber's parents to go to the Bahamas and spend Christmas on the island together. Yeah.
Mr. Tillett, I'm going to ask you, what, if any, conversations did you have with Johnny Depp about the December 15 incident?
I don't think that I don't know that he and I had a direct conversation about it. I'm not sure if he and I had a direct
So what, if any, I'm going to show you, Mr. Tillett, what has been marked as Deposition Exhibit number 16. It's a text message exchange dated 2/10/2016. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do. It's a text exchange between me and Amber Heard about a video that she sent me.
Okay. Now, it starts out, hi, Steve left me a voicemail at 5 a.m. And that's from you, correct?
That's correct.
Do you remember what the voicemail message was?
Yeah. Johnny called me at 5 in the morning and left me a voicemail in the character of some kind of management, of like a property manager. And he said something about, yes, hello, this is management. And I don't remember what he said, but it was something to do with like, we have a situation that we need to change out the something. And it was just a lengthy, just off-the-wall nutbag ramble in the character of management.
Mr. Tillett, I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 17, and then, Alex, I'm going to ask you to play this.
What happened? This morning, you know that?
Were you in here?
No.
So then nothing happened to you. Really? Sneak that shit on me, motherfucker.
I didn't. You were smashing shit.
Oh, bye.
Thank you, Alex. You can take this down now. Mr. Tillett, do you recognize that video?
Yes, I do.
Was that the video that Amber sent to you on the text message exchange on February 10th, 2016?
Yes.
Do you recall watching that video on February 10, 2016?
Yes, I recall watching that video at the time that I received those text messages.
So I'm going to take you to 21 May 2016. What do you recall with respect to a telephone call you received from Amber?
Sure. I was in New York. I was there visiting family. I was in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I was walking down Manhattan Avenue, and I got, I believe, a text message from Amber that said something to the effect of, like, can you talk? And so I called, and I was walking down the street as this happened. She put me on speakerphone, so I was talking to both of them. He just stopped by to pick up some of his stuff, and he has a theory that he either he wants to ask you about, or and I said, okay, sure. And hello, Johnny, like, you know. And he, I think it was he said or she said, Johnny thinks that you and I together defecated on his pillow. I think the words used were shit on his pillow. So I started laughing, and I was laughing, she was laughing, and when I realized that he was serious, I was like, okay, look, you know, first of all, I wasn't there that day. And so he got very agitated by the fact that she and I thought it was funny. And he started to get more and more agitated, and I could hear him walk away from the phone. He came clomping back down the stairs, and I heard like a noise, and then the phone dropped. And he said to her, oh, you think I hit you? You think I fucking hit you? What if I peel your fucking hair back? And then I heard the phone drop again, and then I heard her scream. I remember her screaming. And I hung up the phone, and I called Raquel immediately because I know that she lives one door away, and her and her boyfriend Josh, who's a big dude, would be able to get there the fastest. And I called her, texted her right away, and I hung up with her and immediately called 911 in New York. And then I called a friend of mine in LA who I knew had met Amber a number of times, and I think I may have placed a second call to NYPD. Now I'm all frazzled and I don't remember, but I think I called NYPD. Mr.
Waldman made some statements in April and June of 2020 that quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media used fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They've selected some for sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. That was made on April 8, 2020. What, if any, impact did that have on Amber based on your observations?
Amber retreated. Amber became isolated, embattled, extraordinarily distressed.
And then on June 24, 2020, Waldman accused Amber Heard of committing a, quote, abuse hoax against Depp. What were your observations of how this impacted him?
I think that my previous statement encompassed that.
During the time that you were friends with Johnny and you were speaking with him up until you testified December of 2015, what, if anything, did Johnny Depp ever tell you about Amber Heard being physically violent to him?
Nothing ever at any
Do you agree with me that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard had many verbal arguments?
Yes, I do.
And you were a witness to a lot of those verbal arguments, correct?
I was witness to some verbal arguments.
Okay. And did you ever hear Ms. Heard say anything mean to Mr. Depp in those arguments?
Yes.
And did you ever hear Ms. Heard say anything vicious to Mr. Depp in those arguments?
Yes.
So would you agree with me that when they argued, they were mean and vicious to one another in what they said?
I would categorize it very differently, sir.
Well, you testified that you heard Ms. Heard say mean and vicious things to Mr. Depp when they argued, and vice versa. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And although you witnessed arguments, verbal arguments between the two of them, where they exchanged mean and vicious statements, you never saw Mr. Depp assault or beat Ms. Heard on any occasion, correct?
Judge?
No, I never saw either of them physically assault the other one.
Did you ever experience him become violent as a result of or because of smoking cigarettes or joints?
As I've already explained to you probably 8 times, I've never seen Mr. Depp become physically violent with Ms. Heard. So if that's what you're asking me, if he smoked a cigarette and that made him violent, I think you know that that's ridiculous, and the answer is, again, no.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp become violent in any manner on account of him smoking cigarettes or joints?
If you want my honest answer is that Mr. Depp mixed substances constantly, and I keep trying to tell you that. He mixed all kinds of things together when he got crazy and violent. So, and upset and paranoid. So, and I never knew what he had taken.
When you say when he got violent, when did you see him get violent?
I saw Mr. Depp throw glasses and dishware on at least 2 occasions, which I would characterize as physically violent. And do I know if he'd smoked marijuana or cigarettes before that? I don't know.
When were those 2 occasions?
Sometime during the time that I was living in Sweetser. And once at the Eastern Building.
And prior to throwing those dishes, did you witness him imbibing any drugs or alcohol?
I couldn't tell you, but seeing as Mr. Depp always was smoking cigarettes and marijuana, my assumption would be yes.
Okay. Do you recall when Ms. Bredenhoff showed you a picture of a clump of hair on the floor?
Yes.
Okay. When you saw that, that was more than a day after it was allegedly pulled from her head by Mr. Depp, is that right?
Well, if you want to get technical, my understanding was that their fight happened very late at night, which is technically the morning of the 16th, and I arrived at her house around midnight, the night of the 16th, so technically it's not more than a day after, it's in the same 24-hour period, so technically the answer to your question is no.
Okay, so I'm just talking about the hair on the ground that you saw. When you saw it, was it your understanding that it had been there for more than 20 hours?
I have no idea what time their fight started or ended, so I don't know if it was 20 hours or 16 hours or 13 hours, but my understanding, again, was that they had gotten into a fight sometime in the morning of the 16th / late at night on the 15th. I don't know at what point during that fight in which the clump of hair was ripped out of her head, but it happened sometime then and there. So yeah, sure. My understanding was that clump of hair had not been moved since it was ripped out of her head.
All right. Completes. All right. Who's your next witness?
We have another video deposition, Raquel Pennington. It's a long one, so we could listen to some of it.
All right. Let's
tonight,
go ahead and
we'll
start.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and start it today. At least get 30 minutes in, if we could.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right.
And Your Honor, just for your benefit and the jury's benefit, the questioning starts with Ms. Vasquez on behalf of Mr. Depp, and then I question Ms. Pennington at some point, which will probably be tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I please have you state your name for the record?
Raquel Pennington,
In what city and state do you currently reside?
Los Angeles, California.
You've been deposed before, right?
Yes.
And you were deposed in Ms. Heard's divorce proceeding for Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you been deposed in any other matter?
No.
What was the purpose of the declaration that you submitted during Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's divorce?
The purpose of the thing that I wrote, which I don't know if it was technically called a declaration or whatever it was to write down my account of events as fresh in my memory as possible.
And Ms. Heard asked you to write down your witness account. Is that correct?
I do not remember actually. I don't know.
Did Mr. Depp ask you to write down anything in support of any legal filings?
I don't remember.
So it's your testimony sitting here today that you don't remember one way or another, whether it was Mr. Depp or Ms. Heard that asked you to write down your witness account during their divorce. Is that correct?
I wrote down my account. That is the memory that I have. I wrote down everything as clearly as I could remember it, as soon as I could.
You provided a witness statement in the UK proceedings. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Do you recall how many witness statements you provided?
Just one.
And you provided this witness statement to the son's attorneys?
I don't know who it got provided to.
Did you testify in the UK trial?
Yes.
And for which party did you testify for the UK trial?
I believe it was the publication.
And by the publication, you mean the Sun?
Yes.
When was the last time you spoke to Ms. Heard?
Perhaps 6 months ago, maybe more.
What did you and Ms. Heard speak about?
Probably, it was before her baby was born. So we were mostly speaking about her baby at that point.
Did you speak to, when was the last time you spoke to Ms. Whitney Heard?
Around October, November of last year.
And when you say last year, you mean 2021?
Yes.
When did you first meet Ms. Amber Heard?
I believe it was 2003.
When you met Ms. Heard in 2003, you developed a friendship. Is that right?
Yes.
Would you say you were best friends?
We became very close friends.
Your friendship with Ms. Heard has persisted through her relationship with Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you were friends with Ms. Heard through her divorce from Mr. Depp as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Other than when you lived at the Eastern Columbia building, which we'll get to, did you ever live with Ms. Heard?
Yes.
When was this?
$2017 to 2018. Yeah.
Where did you both live?
We lived on Holly Drive.
Was that a home?
Yes.
And did you pay rent?
No.
Did Ms. Heard?
Yes.
Sitting here today, do you still consider Ms. Heard a friend?
I wouldn't consider her not a friend.
What does that mean?
We don't speak. We are not enemies.
Why don't you speak?
We grew apart.
John, can I put my question read back?
Yes. Sitting here today, you can't give me one reason why you grew apart from Miss Heard?
I wanted to spend more time with other people in my life and prioritize other relationships and other relationships.
Over the course of your friendship with Amber Heard, did you ever see her using illicit drugs?
Can you define illicit drugs?
Not prescribed.
Yes.
Did you ever see her use cocaine?
Yes.
How many times?
I don't know.
Countless?
No.
Less than 10?
Yes.
Less than 5?
Yes.
If you remember, when was the first time you ever saw Amber Heard use cocaine?
I don't remember.
Did you ever do cocaine with Miss Heard, Amber Heard?
Yes.
How often?
Not often.
Was there a point in your relationship with Miss Amber using more cocaine?
No.
Did you ever see Miss Amber Heard use cocaine while she was in a relationship with Mr. Depp?
I don't think so, no.
You know what Procedural is?
Yes.
Are you aware that Miss Amber Heard has taken a drug called Procedural?
Yes.
Do you know when she started taking it?
No.
Do you know whether Amber Heard continued to take Procedural during her relationship with Mr. Depp? she ever tell you that she had stopped taking Provisional?
She never told me that.
Are you familiar with any of the side effects of Provisional?
No.
Did Ms. Hurd ever tell you that she was experiencing any side effects as a result of Provisional?
She never said anything about that.
You testified you saw Ms. Hurd use mushrooms less than 5 times, yes?
Yes.
Each of those 5 times, or less than, was she in a relationship with Mr. Depp?
Did you say each of the 5 times?
Right.
Not each of the 5 times.
How many times that you observed Amber Heard use mushrooms was she in a relationship with Mr. Depp?
Maybe 3.
You recall the specific occasions when you saw Amber Heard use mushrooms while she was in a relationship with Mr. Depp?
The first Coachella that we went to, the second Coachella that we went to, and maybe at Hicksville. But I can't be sure.
Was Mr. Depp at Hicksville?
Yes.
Around June of 2014, you moved into one of the penthouses in the Eastern Columbia building. Is that correct?
I don't remember which month, but I did move into the penthouses.
Approximately in 2014?
Approximately.
And Ms. Heard at the time was in a relationship with Mr. Depp, correct?
Yes.
And it was Mr. Depp who invited you to live in one of the penthouses, right?
They both did.
And when you say they both did, they both sit you down and invite you to live in the penthouses?
I don't remember how the invitation happened, but it came from both of them.
This was a penthouse Mr. Depp owned, right?
Correct.
And specifically, the one you lived in, it was referred to as Penthouse 1, right?
Correct.
And when you moved in, Mr. Depp gave you a master key to all the penthouses he owned, right?
It could have been one of his assistants.
When you say one of his assistants, you mean one of Mr. Depp's assistants?
Correct.
So either Mr. Depp or one of his assistants gave you a master key to all the penthouses that he owned, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Depp never charged Mr. Drew for rent while he lived at Penthouse 1, did he?
He did not charge him any rent, no.
Did either of you get physical?
No.
And how was this argument resolved?
We talked it out.
You recalled another argument with Ms. Heard at Holly House, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
What was this argument about?
I think that we were setting up for Thanksgiving, and we were looking for maybe some glasses or some dishware. We had just moved in, and we couldn't find them anywhere. And then she finally found them in a place that I thought I had looked, and we started arguing about that. She thought that I wasn't looking hard enough, I think, and I told her that I thought that I looked there. Yeah, I think that's what their argument was about.
Was this just a verbal altercation, or did you get physical with each other?
Yeah, I believe that I pushed her.
How did Miss Amber Heard react to that?
She either pushed or hit me back. Yeah.
You know where she hit you?
I think it was on my cheek.
Do you recall any other physical altercations that you've had with Miss Amber Heard?
No.
Do you recall any specific instances when you saw Amber Heard get into a fight with someone else?
No.
In the time you've known Amber Heard, have you ever seen her wear hair extensions?
Yeah. Yes.
Did she have hair extensions in while she was in a relationship with Mr. Depp?
I don't know when exactly she had them throughout the time of knowing her.
I'm going to mark as Pennington Exhibit 1, Ms. Pennington's witness statement in the UK proceeding, which is dated June 16th, 2020. Ms. Pennington, first and foremost, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Ms. Pennington, this is a sworn witness statement that you provided in the UK, right?
I understand. I wanted to get to the bottom and make sure that this was the one that I signed and saw the date, and that was the full document. I just finished it. Yes, this is the document.
Did you write this witness statement yourself?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yes.
Thank you. Did anyone help you write this?
No.
Did Amber Heard help you write this?
No.
Did Amber Heard's counsel help you write this?
No.
Other than your attorney, did you speak with anyone about the preparation of this witness statement?
No.
Could please turn to the 10th page of the document where your signature is, or a signature is. Is that your signature on the 10th page of this document, Ms. Pennington?
That is my e-signature, yes.
Are all the statements in this document true to the best of your knowledge and recollection?
Yes.
You previously testified that you went on a trip to Hicksville with Ms. Heard, Mr. Depp, and some other friends. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall when this trip occurred?
Not off the top of my head.
Do you recall who else went on that trip?
Yes.
Who else was on that trip?
Whitney Heard. Nathan, who was one of Johnny's assistants. Brittany Eustace. Kelly Milano.
Anyone else that you can recall?
Trying to remember. No, I don't remember anybody else.
Where were you all staying?
At Hicksville Trailer Park.
Did you personally witness Mr. Depp become, quote, angry and aggressive, end quote, toward a friend of yours?
Yes.
Relative to where Mr. Depp was, where were you when this occurred?
We were around a campfire.
My question is a bit more specific. Relative to where Mr. Depp was when this occurred, where were you sitting or standing?
I was at the same campfire.
How close were you to
In a
Mr.
circle.
Depp?
6 to 10 feet.
What time of day did this occur?
Evening.
Had you consumed any drugs or alcohol at this time?
I think so.
What do you recall consuming at that time?
I don't remember. Likely wine. I don't remember specifically.
Did you smoke any weed?
No.
Did you consume any cocaine?
No.
Had you consumed any mushrooms?
I believe so.
Had you consumed any MDMA?
No.
Who was the friend that you referenced Mr. Depp became, quote, angry and aggressive towards?
Kelly Sue.
How did you know her?
She was married to a work friend of mine.
Do you have any independent recollection of how long you had known Kelly Sue Milano by the time Hicksville occurred?
More than 1 year, less than 2.
What did you witness Kelly Sue Milano doing that evening before Mr. Depp became, quote, angry and aggressive?
I witnessed her hang out with the rest of the group.
Did you see her consume any alcohol?
Not that I remember.
Did you see her smoke any weed?
No.
Consume cocaine?
No.
Did you see her consume any mushrooms?
Maybe one. So I'm genuinely trying to remember. I saw her eat some amount. I don't know how much.
Did you see her consume any MDMA?
No.
You testified that Mr. Depp said words to the effect of, quote, get off my woman, end quote, to your friend. Is that right?
I testified that.
Did you personally hear Mr. Depp say that?
Yes.
Is this the, quote, angry and aggressive, end quote, conduct by Mr. Depp that you testified to?
Yes.
Other than telling Kelly Sue Milano to, quote, get off his woman, end quote, what did you personally observe Mr. Depp do that was, quote, angry and aggressive, end quote?
That was what happened. Then I think Kelly and Amber were hugging on a chair. out by the fire. He came out of nowhere, said that, and then I think that Amber and Johnny went back to their trailer.
Other than hearing Mr. Depp say something to the effect of "get off my woman," what did you personally observe Mr. Depp do that was, quote, angry and aggressive?
That's it.
Did you hear Amber say anything to Mr. Depp?
I don't remember her saying anything.
Did you hear Amber Heard raise her voice when speaking to Mr. Depp?
No.
What, if anything, do you remember about Amber's reaction to Mr. Depp's behavior?
She was trying to comfort him.
This evening in Hicksville, did you ever see Amber Heard consume any drugs or alcohol?
I didn't see it.
You didn't see Ms. Heard drink any wine?
Yeah, I don't remember a specific time watching her take a sip of a drink.
Was she holding a drink?
I don't remember.
And this evening in Hicksville, did you see Mr. Depp consume any drugs or alcohol?
I didn't see any specific image in my mind of him consume.
Did you personally witness Mr. Depp, quote, in a rage, end quote, that Ms. Heard described?
Did I personally witness the rage in the trailer?
Yeah.
No.
Did you hear Mr. Depp yelling in the trailer?
No.
Did you hear Ms. Heard yelling in the trailer?
No.
Did you personally see that the trailer was, quote, trashed, as Ms. Heard described?
The next morning?
Yeah.
Yes.
What specifically did you see in the trailer?
The thing I remember specifically was the light fixtures had been knocked off.
But you didn't see Mr. Depp knock off the light fixtures in the trailer, is that correct?
I did not see it.
So the only thing you know about what happened in that trailer is what Ms. Heard told you and your observations of the light fixtures being knocked off. Is that correct?
The only thing I know about what happened in the trailer is what she told me and what I saw the next morning.
And the only thing you saw the next morning was that the light fixtures had been knocked off. Is that correct?
That was not the only thing I saw. It is the specific thing I saw.
What else do you recall about the trailer?
It was in a general disarray.
What does that mean?
Was trash. It was torn apart.
What besides the light fixtures were thrown apart?
I've already told you specifically, I remember the light fixtures. The rest is a general disarray.
What is a general disarray to you, Ms. Pennington?
Stuff off the counters, cushions thrown around, things strewn about on the floor.
Did you see Ms. Heard shortly after she returned from Australia?
All right, why don't we just stop right there? So that'd be a good breaking point, I think. Okay. Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and break for the evening. Again, do not discuss this case with anybody and don't do any outside research. And we'll see you in the morning at 9 o'clock, all right? Get some sleep, okay? Thank you. All right, I just have a few items. Just for the record, I want to make sure exhibit plaintiff 1248 from yesterday actually should be corrected in the record to plaintiff's 1248A. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. And so the witnesses tomorrow, are they live, remote, or do we need a
We have one live witness tomorrow. The rest are all video depositions.
So they're all depositions, so we don't need a WebEx link?
No.
Okay. All right. Other than that, jury instructions and verdict forms. I have received jury instructions from both parties. Thank you for that. However, I have not received agreed upon jury instructions as requested. So I'm not sure if that has happened or not happened as far as getting an agreed.
Your Honor, we have been trying to meet and confer with them for a week.
Well,
Your Honor, they're identified in email to Sammy.
Okay, so the ones that you agreed upon?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So if you could do the same and just give me which ones you agree upon, I'd appreciate that. If we can get also by Thursday your objections to the ones that you don't agree upon in writing to me by Thursday morning, okay?
Yes,
can we get that just so I know what you're objecting to? Because I only have 2 hours on Friday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. to deal with this issue. So I want to make sure we're all prepared to get that done at that time frame, okay?
Understood, Your Honor.
All right,
Yes.
great. Anything?
Your Honor, I just want to make clear, we haven't seen what they sent until they sent today. So
Okay,
we've been
that's
trying to
fine.
meet and confer about this for a week and have
I'm not
Made no
interested in
progress.
anybody's finger pointing, but I understand, but we'll just go forward from here, and if I can get them Thursday morning, that'd be fantastic, okay?
Understood.
All right,
Thank
great.
you, Your
All
Honor.
right, have a good evening, and we'll see you in the morning, okay?